Hello, folks. Welcome to the webinar. And I'm Sam, CEO of Axle AI. I'm joined by our VP of Product Management, Patrice, and we will be answering questions and doing a bit of demoing and whatever else is requested. It's kind of an Ask Us Anything half-hour session that we've been holding every week during the Republic crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding round. And actually, we found that the questions have been excellent, and every week we learn something, and hopefully our audience learns something too. So that being said, we usually give folks a couple of minutes to join. So it is a minute after 3. Let's say we'll give people 1 more minute, and then we will dive into the content. Thanks very much for joining. Also, I usually just give a disclaimer that these sessions are recorded, and they do get transcribed. You're welcome to enter questions in the Q&A section in the interface below Zoom, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with now. Now that we're a few months into COVID, Zoom is like our second language. But at any rate, if you're not familiar with it, there's a little Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Please don't hesitate to use it. And let's see, with that, we'll just give people maybe 30 seconds and we'll start the call properly. Thank you. All right, so let's see. In terms of updates, we're just putting out an update today that we have a webinar coming up with our partners at Backblaze, who are one of the leading, if not the leading, providers of archive storage in the cloud. They have a pretty fabulous system called B2. And for those who don't know Backblaze, they have been doing this for a long time now and are a fabulous company. So they're actually taking on the cloud giants like Amazon and Google and Microsoft, but purely for archive storage. And to date, they have archived over an exabyte, which is 1,000 petabytes, or another way of looking at it is 1,000,000 terabytes. They've archived 1,000,000 terabytes of stuff for their customers. And they have like entire facilities full of these red racks of storage devices. The other interesting thing that Backblaze does is that because they have such huge volume of experience with hard drives, they put out an annual kind of stat sheet for reliability of different hard drive models, because they'll buy like 20,000 Seagates and 50,000 Western Digitals and just run them nonstop, pretty much indefinitely. So for those who have not seen those reports, it's a really great rundown of like whose hard drives are the most reliable. And they put that out every year. But they have, at this point, a very large footprint and a great industry reputation. So we're very excited to be working with them on this webinar. It will be on June 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And the subject is the new normal. It'll be a couple of our customers who are also Backblaze customers. So it turns out that we have some high-profile customers that use both products, and 2 of them agreed to come on and just talk about what's been working for them, what hasn't been working, the transition to remote workflows during COVID, et cetera, et cetera. So just really good stuff. And just knowing the 2 folks that'll be on there along with me and somebody from Backblaze, I think it'll be a very spirited conversation and hopefully worthwhile. So so that should be good fun. Again, that's the 18th at 1 p.m. And there's an update that will be published today on the Republic site with that link. But what else I can do is I can post that into the chat session here as well during the call, so that if folks want to sign up for that, they can. Other than that, big new developments. we're seeing a lot of activity in Europe. They're probably about a month ahead of a recovery here in the US. Optimistically, maybe the US is still, a very messy situation. And of course now with all the difficulties of last week with the riots and so forth, we do expect that the US economy is going to continue to be a tricky situation. But much of the rest of the world is already recovering, and we are seeing that in our incoming business. So we're very psyched about all of that activity out there. And we also are getting a few high-profile orders here in the US from kind of more forward-looking customers that aren't caught up in the immediate challenges of COVID. So with that being said, maybe we should, I was going to hand it over to Patrice for a little demo of our core product, Axle AI 2020. And I'll be fielding questions while he's doing that, maybe 5 or 10 minute demo, if that works for you, Patrice. Mm-hmm. And but at any point, folks should feel free to chime in with questions, and we can pause the demo, answer the questions, and so forth. So Patrice, over to you.
Excellent. Before I get started, just want to confirm that my screen is visible.
It is.
Excellent. So Axle is web browser interface, but don't be fooled, it is not a cloud solution. It is all on premise. Why do we do everything on premise for video? I mean, everybody is doing cloud now, and we just talked about Backblaze. Well, editing videos is still extremely intensive. You require a lot of bandwidth, especially with the new high-end cameras that are coming. It's 4K, 8K footage. Now everybody's getting their 4K TV. You cannot pass that to edit. It is very heavy. So everybody who does video, they are still mostly working on on-prem solutions. They have high-speed storage that multiple editors can access. That being said, that they will need to park files into the cloud for archiving. That's where Backblaze come in. And now that everybody is kind of working remotely because of COVID, we need to find a way to access the media. So luckily, we have started Axle on the web browser, so we have already a perfect solution. We just integrate with other solutions, such as reverse proxying, and our customers suddenly can access their media from the internet, anywhere in the world. And you can actually find on our website, axle.ai, axle.ai, you will see the story for American Public Television. We just did that. Anyway, login page. I'm going to log into my interface here. And here I am. Once I log in, I see the content of my folder. So just picture, I am outside the office. Now I suddenly see the content. I can see the previews of the files. Everything that is in the office, I have access right here, and I can select a couple files and I can download them, including proxies for editing. So suddenly I have not such a heavy files to edit, and then we can relink them for proper render at the end. But more importantly, I can search files. For example, if I wanted to find, files with Benedict Cumberbatch, there we go. I have this file here. It says Benedict Cumberbatch, actually multiple times in the file name, lucky. But look, I have a little face here which shows me Benedict Cumberbatch with Beck Bennett, Vanessa Bayer, and so on. This little face means that we found this information based on the facial recognition. So this is where the AI comes in. Users can tag their media. Let me click on this video and show you. I can go on the right side here and tag. This is a user-generated tag where I can say, okay, the producer was Sam here. It was also approved by both Sam and I. And it was shot in New York, SNL. And we can even have some date fields. So I can just go and say June 1st, 2017, for example. Save. Now, all of that becomes searchable. The real power of Axle is the AI technology. Now, you will see on the video player. So we generate a preview of the video, which means I can play it on the web browser. I can
you didn't let me finish. And I will
post comments on the timeline, which...
By the way, Patrice, that was a bit loud. It was like much louder than you. So maybe don't play any more audio.
I would not play the audio.
The other thing I would request is maybe just make the browser window the whole screen.
Yeah.
Because depending on how big the people have their windows set for Zoom, it may be a little hard to read some of the detail. Perfect. That's, well, yeah, you don't have to go that big. Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sam. So yeah, so the left side folder tree, video player, user tag, and under the video player, you will see that I can post also comments on the timeline. So this will become data point that I can search across against. I can search against this data, but it is also associated to the timeline of the video. And that's one aspect that a lot of our customers like. In addition to it, you will see other. So this is where the AI comes in. First of all, facial recognition. This was tagged automatically, so I can know who appears in the video and when. And alive! Sorry, so I have Beck Bennett here. And you will see that we have all this information available and when it is on the video. Same thing with the object. I can know that I have electronic here. What is it? You will see a TV appearing right here. And of course, the transcript. You know what is being said. So you know who, what, and what is being said, and that becomes searchable automatically. Now, I'm showing you a couple hundred files here in Access, so it may not seem like big of a deal, but all these big companies that we have, such as Madison Square Garden, we have also some sports team, Major League Sports team, which have multiple camera angles for their games in the venues and whatnot. They have millions of files, and they need to find something to make a video, to make a promo video. This is where Axel comes in. This is what we do. We basically provide them quick access to their files with search in an easy way. And with that, I think I covered roughly my 10 minutes. I will hand it back over to Sam and see if we have any questions. Thank you.
We actually haven't had any questions yet. Certainly want to encourage people. And as Patrice pointed out, the software that he was showing you is browser-based, but is typically run on premise. We have recently had some successes where we're able to run it completely in the cloud. And that is, of course, with COVID, something that people are thinking about more and more. Most of the industry is still rooted in physical hard drives and physical locations, but there's a very rapid shift underway to how do I make all this stuff virtual? How do I access it from home? How do I access it from multiple locations at once? So I think we are seeing a pretty big trend there. And obviously we're benefiting from that because many of these folks will have only had their material on these physical devices with no good way to search or access them remotely.
If there
So,
are
yeah, go ahead.
Let me jump into, sorry, Sam, there was a question?
No, that's it. Go ahead.
All right, so let me actually jump to our other software connector, and it is also gaining some traction. And the reason is, again, it's so funny because that's all we talk about, and maybe you're sick of hearing all about COVID-19, but the reality is it is a new world right now. Even as offices are reopening and you have people coming back to the office, it's only at 25% capacity for most of the United States, and you have a lot of people who still prefer to work remotely. So how do you handle that? So how do you handle the possibility that, okay, I still have to perform the same amount of tasks? I receive, I don't know, I'm making up, I receive thousands of videos that I need to actually copy somewhere and ingest and make new renders available. I'm Comcast, I receive all these movies and I have to render for 4K, for my 4K, for my HD, for my SD, and I need to have different languages, and I need to, so how do I do that at 25% capacity in my office? This is where you have connectors. So that's our workflow automation tool. And it is a way for you to automate processes. And the thing is, it will simplify your life, and you can run it also from abroad, from the browser, the internet, because we do have an API. In this example, for example, I'm just going to watch the content of a folder. I'm going to run a checksum, which is the verification process we are going to use. It's going to return a code that will be the content of the file. And in the end, I will do a copy where I will do the same check, the check to see if the file is correct. And I'm going to place it into my Dropbox. So notice that we have the flow going. And we always have, I did not do anything, but you always have the option of, if it fails, I can do something else, such as sending an email notification or a text. So in this case, going through a folder, I have a watch folder, do a check and send it to my Dropbox. So let's open this. I have my watch folder right here. I'm just going to grab a couple of files, not too big. I will do these two files. And I press them, and I'm just going to run it. Now, in this case, I have a button. Most of the time, when it is finished deployed, you have a schedule or it will run automatically. But for the demo purposes, we have a button. I'm going to press the button. You're going to see some pulses, and it will show you underneath the actions. Let me clear the log here. And let's run it. And here we go. Find the file, make the copy, and check, and everything has been done successfully. And you will see Dropbox, my 2 files that I made have just been uploaded. And other things you can do is upload to Vimeo, upload to YouTube, send to FTP. This is a delivery mechanism. We also have render capability. We can connect to database. We can do a lot of scripting. So and we can simplify the life of people. And with that, I saw some questions popping up. So I'm going to hand back the microphone to Sam and everybody else. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. The first question was from Chris. Do you have any patents on your technology, and how will you receive revenue? So we do not have any patents on our technology, but it does represent about 60 person years of software development. And because we have a decent sized development team, that number goes up every year. So probably 10 person years per year. The revenue is already coming in. We did about 850,000 in revenue last year. And we hope that the run rate will, go past that this year. So most of our revenues are done with a combination of the sale of software on a perpetual license, plus recurring fees for things like the AI services. And the typical lifetime value per customer is between $13,000 and $15,000 per site. That of course is a combination of the one-time revenue and the longer tail of recurring. And to the second question that was posted, how will this benefit individuals rather than just commercial media operations? It's a very good question. We just rolled out a product in conjunction with Dropbox called Ascribe.ai, which is a freemium product that anybody can download for their Mac or Windows laptop. And what that lets you do is get a lot of the benefits that Patrice was showing in terms of analyzing the media and transcribing what's in it, but give it to you on a reasonable desktop level, so that you don't have to buy the $13,000, $15,000 worth of workgroup software. So it's a new thing for us. We've had a ton of subscribers sign up. It is generating revenue, although to date, I will say that's a fraction of our overall revenue. So it's not moving the needle. It's not like a third of our revenues or anything like that. It's much more smaller. But the sheer number of people coming to our website, using these things, trying them, and then figuring out how they can upgrade to our other products is pretty substantial. And finally, the third question, who's a typical customer? This is from Charles. Today, a typical customer is a media team inside a larger organization. That organization may be commercial. For instance, we have places like Coca-Cola, Canon, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Patagonia. In those cases, it's a marketing team most often who is shooting a lot of video, gathering it, sort of wrangling it, and figuring out what to do with it on social media. But the corporates are just one subset of our market. Those same kinds of media teams also exist inside universities, inside churches, especially the mega churches, inside sports teams and venues, government organizations, and then of course, more traditional media outlets like broadcasters and movie studios. So if you add all of those up, and then on the end of that, you also add YouTubers and documentarians, you've got a lot of different places where these teams are found. There are about 300,000 worldwide, based on the estimates of our partners at Adobe. And that number is expected to roughly double in the next 5 years to about 600,000 sites. So each of those sites is going to need some tools for better managing their content. And you know, it even extends to areas you might not think about, like political campaigns, for instance. Both Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign and Donald Trump's video team use our software for exactly this kind of stuff, to search and index and reuse it. And you know, we don't pick sides, we're just a technology company, but we're also seeing interest at the gubernatorial and state levels. In fact, we just responded to an RFP for New York State for the governor's office. So many different areas of opportunity where these teams are doing this kind of work. Excellent questions, though. Thanks very much. Let's see. Let me just see if there are any other questions that have been put in. One question is, what kind of exit strategy or strategies do we have? So obviously today we're just a private company raising equity crowdfunding. We do see some very good opportunities to grow the business, both with and without acquisitions. So we have some ideas about companies that we could acquire as we grow, but primarily we're looking at organic growth. We're very capital efficient. We've only raised about $375,000 in outside capital so far, and we are looking to stay efficient. So, for instance, if we could raise maybe up to $1 million of funding in a kind of extended seed round, that money would be enough to take us for 2 or 3 years of further growth. And even at the moment, we are looking at what looks like a fairly cash flow neutral to maybe even cash flow positive situation over the rest of this year. So we can't assume that we can raise money because the venture market is a little bit panicky at the moment. It would be great if we could, but in terms of the actual exit strategy, we either see acquiring other companies and doing most likely what would be an SPAC or other form of very small scale IPO, or of course to be acquired by a public company or a larger private company. And that's a fairly typical exit scenario, but we've been approached, we've had conversations, but it's not something that we're tightly focused on. If it happens, it happens, and we'd be delighted. But I think our broader exit strategy is a medium or long term. All right, I think with that, we've got a few minutes left, but unless there are more questions, we can probably wrap up the call. Let me just see if there are any others. There are not. So again, I was gonna enter that webinar. Let me see if I can find that for folks. Actually, it is or will be on the Republic site. So I apologize. I was going to try and get that link while Patrice was demoing, but I did not do that. So it will be up there on the Republic site, and it is the company is Backblaze, BACKBLAZE. So they have what they call Cloud University. And this will be one of the Cloud University series of online talks. So what we can do is, if you'd like, feel free to shoot us a note. I'm Sam at Axel.ai. Patrice is Patrice at Axel.ai. And we can get you the registration link for that webinar on the 18th. There are also a couple of webinars that we did recently with other partners. One is a physical storage company called Simply. The other one is a combination of 2 cloud software companies, Cloudian and File Catalyst. And those webinars are also up on YouTube. So we would be happy to share those links as well. And they, again, will be on the Republic site in the next couple of days. So, so with that, one more question. Here we go. Is your software in the cloud, or do you have your own server? The answer is yes, we can do both. Most customers will run our software on their own server. We have also provisioned the software on servers that we provide for customers. So, you can run it on your own server. We can run it for you on our servers. And then the third option is to run it in the cloud in something like GCP or Amazon EC2. and we have done that as well. So it's really a capability that can run wherever a combination of compute and storage is available. And with that, I think we'll call it a day. But again, many thanks for spending the time, and look forward to answering any further questions either on next week's call or in the Q&A section on the Republic site, which of course is www.republic.co/Axel-AI. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but in fact, I'll just type it as an answer to that last question.
You maybe should probably do it, Sam, on the chat, because only the person who asked the question.
Oh, only the person who asked the question sees the answer. Okay, that is a good idea. I will do that.
Just in case. I'm not entirely sure, but
yeah. All right, so that should cover it for everyone. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and have a great week. Thank you.
Take care now. Bye.